Hello, everybody. We are live and we're back. And hopefully, this time everything goes according to plan. So, we tried this a couple of days ago. We had technical gremlins and we couldn't get this Hangout working. So, today we're going to give it another shot. So, what you're going to get today is I am back online with Bradley Hill. Now, I'm stoked to be on the line with him. He has got a phenomenally inspiring story that he's going to share with you. And we're going to discuss the whole concept of how, as a male entrepreneur, or as a male professional, you have challenges in your life and how you can overcome them and how you can deal with them and how you can use these challenges to step into a place of power. Now, no matter what you do in life, no matter how successful you are, there are going to be times where just things throw a spanner in the works. You might be really kicking ass in business and something happens that causes you to lose income. Maybe it's internal or external. You might be kicking ass in your fitness or in your health and well-being or your sport, as was the case with Bradley, and something happens that is completely out of your control, and you then have to turn things around. So I'm going to bring Bradley on now. I'm going to ask him to introduce himself, tell you a little about his background, and then we're going to go from there and discuss the whole concept of how you can use the things that happen in your life to power yourself and how you can use it to get everything you want in your life. So Bradley, how are you doing, my friend?
Very good, thanks. Good to be with you today.
Awesome, awesome. So let's start off with asking a simple question. Who is Bradley Hill and what is your story?
So I'll give you a story way back. I came out of school to play professional rugby. Played about 5 years, had 2 knee reconstructions, eventually had to retire. Started working self-employed with my dad. Worked for there about 4 years, very successful. Then the business started dropping, dying, eventually to the point where we pretty much lost everything. So I had one of these aha moments. I was always into sport, health, fitness. So I just packed my bags one day, made a big decision, moved to London literally the next day to be a personal trainer. So I struggled as a personal trainer for nearly 2 years, living on friends' couches, a bad attitude looking back. Then eventually started turning it around, became reasonably successful only for about 3 months. Then I woke up one day with back pain, completely out of the blue. I used to lift heavy, just thought it was back pain. It eventually got so bad I had to go to A&E. Went to A&E, pulled muscle. I was like, it's enough. They argued. Had to go back a day later because the pain was so bad. I was, bad. I was crying in pain. Again, they said, it's a pulled muscle, just rest. So about 3 days later, I just completely couldn't. I couldn't get out of bed anyway, but I was, screaming, sweating. I lost feeling in my right leg, and then I knew something was really wrong. Got rushed into hospital. They found a blood infection that had formed an abscess in the infection had tried to travel to the spinal column. So it was pressurizing my spinal cord. That's why I'd lost the feeling in my leg. I had emergency surgery. I think it was about 7 hours surgery to stop it traveling up the spinal cord towards the brain. So when it hit the brain, it just killed me straight away. That was reasonably successful, or so they thought. I was in recovery, still in intensive care, but in recovery, getting better. Then suddenly, again, out of the blue, it switched. They hadn't caught the infection. It got worse. It started traveling all the way up my spinal column. It eventually got to C4 before the surgery was successful. So they cut up all my back, went through my neck. And during the process, they had to go quite aggressive on the surgery to save my life. I was only 28 years old at the time. And they damaged the spinal cord, cutting bits out to let it breathe. And that's where I woke up with a lot of nerve damage. So much so they thought I'd never walk again. So I was actually, when I woke up, it said I'd never walk again. And I'd be paralyzed from the C4 spot down. So it's a strange feeling waking up and told your life's never going to be the same again. Luckily for me, I had, a skill set over the years where I just believed one thing, kept really positive and focused, really focused on my recovery. And that's what I sort of teach now people to do is, there's small goal setting what leads to big actions daily. That's basically where I'm at now. Eventually started a business back in personal training, despite the nerve damage. Became very successful in that. Now I'm moving on to other ventures, so that's leaving me where I'm at the minute.
Wow, that's pretty inspiring, dude. And a couple of things I took from there was you had a bad attitude starting off, and when you went to London and started personal training, and then you started turning that around.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I had this conversation with Matt Smith about a week ago. We were talking about the whole concept of how to sort of, as a male entrepreneur, you've got to like really focus on building your body up, and how that sort of goes into all other areas of your life. So you're playing professional rugby, and you've got this mindset of a professional athlete. And I mean, I come from a background where I'm a professional fighter, and we've got to have the mindset of going in toe to toe with an opponent and stepping into a ring and facing your fears and everything. And I was talking with Matt Smith last week, and we just got on the topic of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. Right? And I don't know if you've ever seen the show, but there's always an athlete on the show, like whether it's Linford Christie or David Hay or Fatima Whitbread, whoever it is, there's always an athlete. And one thing I like about watching the athletes when they go on these shows, as stupid as these shows are, is they just get the shit done. They get put into a situation which is really alien to most people, and they just do it. They don't think about it. So how I want to relate that to what you just said is, how did you use that mindset, like your athletic mindset and the whole positive thinking, to really overcome? Because let's face it, they said that you could never walk again.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you're walking.
Yeah, I'm walking. I still have massive nerve damage, throughout the whole body. I've got no feeling, skin sensation or temperature, cold from the chest down. The right leg's really badly damaged and stuff. But I still walk. I get around. Again, it's dealing with what's in front of you. But yeah, the attitude. So when I moved to London to be a personal trainer, I was ex-professional rugby. I've got the look people want. I was in great shape. I was very well read, very knowledgeable, very good personal trainer. And you just sometimes expect things. You go into a big city with a lot of money and etc., and you expect just to be busy, right? And you expect your business to be busy and successful. And it wasn't really a bad attitude. It was more not, I was naive, and I just waited, and my friends were saying, "Are you doing this?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, I've done a website, and this is going to come through, and this, and suddenly these weeks turned into months, and these months turned into 3 months, 6 months, and I was still kind of just drifting by, and it took, as I say, till I actually pretty much fell out with my friends and moved out. It took that long for me to realize actually what I'd been stuck in. I was in this. I was just drifting by life, right? I wasn't in control. I was waking up, doing my day. I wasn't really steering my life. It was steering me. I was just expecting something to happen. And since I was in a comfort zone of, I didn't really have much rent because my friends were there, or, I didn't have much to live on. I didn't really need anything. I was comfortable. And it's hard, these comfort zones are hard to get out of. So I eventually this clicked about 2-3 months before the accident, and it really put into perspective that if I want to go somewhere, I've got to drive that myself. So when I did start doing that, it just changed my life. So what happened is, when I woke up, from the hospital, and they said I'd never, walk again, it was I had no choice but to make the right decision. And I mean, people say I don't know how you did it, and it's to stay positive, but for me there was no other choice. I had to focus on everything I certainly learned in the past and developed over the years, and really focus on small things daily to move forward. So these were everything from, I started getting some movement in some muscles on the right hand side. Just tiny little, the fingers would move tiny. As soon as I registered this, I was able to think, right, today I'm going to do that again. I'm going to consciously sit here and think about, the nerve, like telling the brain to go to the muscles, and the muscles moving. And that's the way I sort of did it daily, and broke it down into such small things. And suddenly, you know, the second finger would move, then the next finger would move, and we just keep going from there. So that's that's how I started in the hospital. It was a really long journey, but it comes back to goal setting and how you deal with those challenges. So I broke it down daily and just really focused on that, and that's the focus I had to keep. So that's kind of where I was at. Can you hear me? I appear to have lost you. Are you there?
Okay, I do believe we are back live, and again, my sincerest apologies for the technical disturbances. These gremlins are not sorting themselves out, and I will ensure you guys that this is going to be sorted for the next time. But I'm going to carry on this interview again. As soon as we get Bradley back on, we're just going to carry on with the interview. There's no point postponing it again. We're just going to. It's not perfect. It's not, it's not seamless. But fuck it, that's how it's going to be. Progress, not perfection. We want to get this message out there. We want to get Bradley back on, and we just want to really achieve something here that will give value to you. So let's see if I can get Bradley back on. Where's it gone? Ah, something happened there. So there is a lot of dead space going on here, which I apologize for. We're going to get Bradley back on in a minute. He can't get back in the line. Right, I think. Okay, guys, I'm going to do a second part to this in about a minute. I'm going to restart the whole event. We're not going to start the questions again. We're just going to go with the next question. So if you are watching this, this is part 1, and you can go to part 2 by with the relevant link. Okay. Right, trying to get Bradley back on this one.